The video you're about to watch is my conversation with a 17-year-old young man that is experiencing awakening at a very early age. Now, I tried to cut this video up into different smaller pieces, but then I realized that the entire video is a vibe. There's so much depth and so much wisdom in this video, I just had to keep it together. And so I'm making this intro to let you know that it is long, but I promise you, if you listen to this conversation and listen to it about you, it can create a tremendous experience within you. Enjoy. Well, talk to me, man. What's going on?
Bro, I've probably had the craziest. When did I leave Arizona? The craziest month of my life. Honestly, after all the conversations I had in Arizona, the conversation I had with you, with Ken, with Alok, yeah, I just came back and my head was in the weirdest space. Like, I felt like I was having. Remember when you was telling me about the ego death type of thing? That's what I felt like I was having. Like I didn't know who I was, what I wanted, what was going on in my life. Like I was just having breakdown after breakdown. Like this was like a daily thing for like maybe the first week I was back. I was just breaking down every day, and I was just like, what is going on? Like I was stressing about my future. I was stressing about my past, about what I'm doing now. I just couldn't come to grips with anything, right? And then I remember I messaged you and I said, "Oh, well, I said my head's in a really weird space right now. Could you give me some advice? Like, could you give me some help?" Um, and then you had asked me to be a bit more specific, and I literally said like, "I just don't know what's going on with me." And I explained it a little bit further, and then you told me to read the book, right? And I don't know what it was, but I've read maybe like I don't really like reading. I don't enjoy reading, right? But I wanted to get this like sorted because I've been breaking down daily, right? So I ordered it instantly. I started reading it, and within like the first chapter, I just got hooked. I literally just got hooked, and I must have read for like an hour or something like that. Like I do not like reading. I haven't read that long in ages. Um, but I just kept reading and kept reading, and it was telling me about like how thinking is the root cause of my problems, and all I need to do is let it settle and stop thinking, and the stories and the analogies it had, it all settled with me, right? And I don't know, I just really found a level of peace through reading that book and doing the exercises it was telling me. And then from that, I then had the conversation with my dad that Ken and you and Alok spoke about a little bit. Um, and yeah, man, that was definitely the craziest conversation I've had. I've, I mean, we sat down for maybe 2, 3 hours. In fact, I remember it perfectly because I was reading the book before I went to go and speak to him, and I had been thinking in my head. I was thinking like, what am I gonna say? What's he gonna react like? Is he gonna talk to me? Da 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 da. And then there was like a line in the book where it was like, I think, therefore I suffer. And that line, I literally just threw the book down, got up, went into his room, and said, "Dad, we need to speak." And then we just ended up talking for hours. And like, first time in my life I've ever seen my dad cry. First time. We hugged for the first time in years. Like, it was a deep conversation. And I learned so much about him. And what it's allowed me to do is to look at situations through his eyes and understand who he was before he was my dad, right? Because from up until now, it's only been you're my dad, right? Like I'm only looking at if I try and look through his eyes, I'm only looking through dad's eyes, not Charles's eyes. Does that make sense? So when I was able to look through Charles's eyes, I was able to have so much more compassion, so much more love, and just understanding of like what you were actually going through. And it also made me feel like, damn, like how selfish was I being to go, I was feeling like da 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 and have all these this attitude and all these feelings building up when you were like really suffering there, and you were just trying to help me out. So it was just crazy. And from there, everything just spiraled. Like I started speaking to my mum about stuff. I started speaking to my sister about stuff. I started unintentionally coaching other people. Like they would just ask me questions. And then I would just be like, well, have you done this? Well, have you done that? And like going off my own experience. And then I just kept reading the book. And now I'm at a place where like my mind is so clear, I can feel like myself coming back, like my child self, if that makes sense, like who I was as a kid. I can feel that person pushing through again. And I'm just starting to just find me again, basically. And I just yeah. So that's pretty much been the last month. It's been crazy, um, but incredible as well. That's a
That sounds wonderful.
yeah.
It looks like what you came to Arizona for, you got, and then some.
The funny thing is, that's not even what I came for.
No, it is why you came here. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
You are infinite intelligence having a conscious living experience of itself. That's who you really are. You don't have a life. You are life. You are life itself. Just let that breathe. See, right now, or maybe even a couple of weeks ago, you approach life like I'm Matthew, and then this is the world, and then how can I, Matthew, survive the world? How can I, Matthew, get what I want to get out of the world? And that's where all the chasing and the striving and the holding grudges and calculating and the game, playing the game that society set up. Because you think that in order to get everything you want, you've got to fight against life to get it. And you're only fighting against yourself because you are life itself. Imagine a river, and where most people think is they're the person in the boat in the river. And so life wants to take them one way, the flow of life, and they go, no. And they turn their paddle boat upstream and they start rowing upstream. You got to tell life what you want. And they start rowing upstream. And it's so funny, too, because the religious folks always say God laughs at your plans because you really think you're going somewhere. Oh, I made this amount of money. Oh, I got this success. Oh, I became this famous. Oh, I got this many followers. And you actually are going nowhere. That's why a lot of those people who reach that peak become so depressed. Not because being rich or famous or anything is bad, but because they thought that was going to make them feel enough. I was just talking to a guy yesterday. He said, the most depressing day of my life is when I found out I made $1 million. And I said, because it didn't feel like you thought it was going to feel. He said, no. He says, matter of fact, I didn't find out I made $1 million until I was doing my taxes. So that made it even worse. because I was still feeling like I wasn't enough, but had already made $1 million, just didn't know I made $1 million. And it still felt the same. That's what I mean by you ain't going nowhere. Eventually, people will turn their boat around and they'll start to go with the flow of life. And now they're the person in the boat going with the flow of life. But that's still not it. Because the truth is, they're the river itself. There's nothing to fight against. The only thing you're going with, the flow of, is your true self, which is life itself.
Okay.
Imagine you were imagine you created a video game.
Okay.
You're the creator of the video game. You know exactly why you created the game. So you have your headset on and you got your controller. And you start playing the video game. And then at some point, the character in the game stops responding to your commands. And it seems to wake up inside the game, aware of itself. It doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know why it's there. It knows nothing. It just woke up inside the game. Are you following?
Yeah.
But it doesn't know the purpose of where it is. And then something happens and it feels something it doesn't want to feel. So it says, I'm not doing none of that no more. Nothing that leads to that feeling, I'm doing ever again. And then it does something and it feels great. So it says, I want more of that, less of that. And it convinces itself that that's the purpose. The purpose of this game is to avoid feeling what I don't want to feel and feeling more what I do want to feel. And the whole time, you, as the creator, are saying, hey, hey, don't go right, go left. The challenge is the more that character in the game gets what it wants or what it thinks it wants, the more it ignores your voice as the creator.
Mm.
You hear people say things like, I something told me not to do that. Yeah, the true you. But the ego says, no, I want this. And then it goes left, and then you get knocked in the head by whatever it is. I knew not to do that. I knew I shouldn't have talked to that girl. I knew I shouldn't have did that business deal. I knew I shouldn't have gotten in the car with that person. I knew I shouldn't have walked. We all know those things. You had that gut feeling. And so all you could do as the creator is sit back and wait for a quiet enough moment. Because the character in the game just keeps trying stuff and stuff keeps working. Some stuff doesn't work, but it's determined to get what it says it wants out of the game, but it still has no idea of what the purpose of the game is. It created its own purpose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then one day, everything that character created starts to fall apart because it has to. Because everything that's not for the design of that game has to fall away. It has to crumble. So it gets what it wants temporarily. But eventually loses it. Now it fights when it starts to feel like the stuff that it built, because that's what makes me me. All these things are me. So I got to fight to keep it. I got to fight to keep that car. I got to fight to keep that house. I got to fight to keep that job. I got to fight to keep that girl. I got to fight to keep that man. I got to fight. You understand?
Mm.
Because the character has 3 jobs: protect itself, predict things that will threaten itself, and preserve itself. And the whole time, you as the creator are going, hey, hey. And then eventually that character puts up one last fight. And then it just says, fuck it. See, that's burnout, by the way. When human beings
Mm.
experience burnout, they're tired of playing a character they no longer want to play, but they don't know how to stop playing it. So they just blow up their whole life and say, fuck it.
I've done that a couple times.
When you're tired of fighting, you just fuck it. See, but it's in that moment, you, as the creator, with your headset, while the character is sitting on the side of the road with his head buried deep down into its chest, and it's just sitting there like this. Then you go, hey. And the character goes, who the fuck is that? And then you, as the creator, you're like, it's it's you, the real you, the actual creator of the game. What game? The game that you're in. What are you talking about? What game that I'm in? The one you and every other disconnected player or character created for yourselves. Unnecessary suffering.
Mm.
Because all of you are trying to fight and manipulate each other to get what you think you want, but you really don't want. You just think you want it because you forgot who you were.
Mm. Yeah.
And so the character then goes, this is the ego. You trying to get rid of me? No, I can't get rid of you. Because without you, I can't exist inside the game I created. But see, I created this game for a specific reason. And it's not your reason. So I know which direction you're supposed to go. I know what you're supposed to say and who you're supposed to say it to. I know when you're supposed to show up, and I know when you're supposed to leave. Because I created the game. You are my vessel. This body that you possess inside the game is mine. And the only reason why you have a sense of awareness of yourself is because I'm also every other character in that game. And in order for me to let them move individually, I needed to give them their own sense of awareness, that sense of independence, so that they're not all moving in the same direction, doing the same thing.
Mm.
Well, why did you create the game? Because I was bored. What do you mean you were bored? Well, I'm everything. always have been, and always will be. So it's just me. Always have been and always will be. Everything. And I really wanted to know who I was. So in order for me to do that, I had to create 8 billion different versions of myself. But in order for this to be an authentic experience, they all had to forget that they were me.
So, so how do you know that you're not listening to your ego, but listening to the creator of the game?
The ego is always trying to solve this deep seated problem that it feels it has, which is inadequacy. See, in order to be separate from the creator, something feels like it's missing. Does that make sense? That's what
Kind
eh,
of.
the purpose for religions getting created is because human beings felt disconnected from the higher source. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So when the ego is birthed, it feels separate. It feels like it's missing something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then its entire goal and everything that it aspires to is to solve
It feels like it's missing.
what feels like it's missing. But it convinces itself the car will do it, the money will do it, the job will do it, the career will do it. You understand?
Yeah.
The ambition comes from self service. I want to solve this deep seated sense of inadequacy that I feel. I can't put words to it. I just feel it. And then it gets really bad when that feeling never goes away, no matter how much I accomplish, no matter what I do. Nothing's ever enough. So you know it's coming from the ego, that sense of inadequacy, when it's when you're chasing a feeling, something you want to feel. Oh, I need this in order to feel like I'm enough. When the feeling of enough is at the core root of that thing, that's coming from ego. When you don't want to look bad because you don't want people to see you a certain type of way, that's coming from ego. I told you, protect, predict, and preserve. 3 jobs. So if it's to protect your image, ego. If you're trying to predict a certain situation that's threatening to your image, that's ego. If you holding back, not putting yourself out there because you want to preserve your image, that's ego. When there's an attachment to it, that's ego. See, I could have something but not be attached to it. I always tell my clients or my other students, I say, when you find yourself in some type of emotional turmoil, it's because you got your hand stuck in the cookie jar. Judgments, attachments, and resistance. So if it's judgment, ego. If you're attached to it, attachment just simply means that without it, you feel some type of way that you don't want to feel. So
Mm.
you got to keep that thing so you avoid feeling what you don't want to feel. That's an attachment. Like I love my wife. I adore my wife. I'm just not attached. Meaning, if she one day wants to get up and walk out the door and leave, I'll allow her to do so because that's her right.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't love her.
Mm. I get that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if she takes that, oh, letting me leave means you don't love me. No, that's her sense of inadequacy being triggered. But me and my wife don't have those problems because we're both two whole human beings enjoying each other's company. We're not trying to complete each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If it's two people who feel incomplete, two egos coming into the relationship, because ego just simply means incomplete.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. It really does. And it's funny, right? Because the book I've just been reading kind of speaks a little bit about that, but not as in depth as you just went into it, or the book that I've finished now. And so
The
I
Don't Believe Everything You Think book, right? That's why I
um,
recommend that book.
yeah, and
My book, Already Whole, goes that deep.
okay,
See, I give out Don't Believe Everything You Think to just open up people who've never done this kind of deep work before to
mm,
open their minds up to what's really causing their suffering because they think it's the world causing their suffering, it's the girl, it's the guy, it's the job, it's Donald Trump, whatever it is. They think it's those things causing them suffering. No, it's your own fucking mind that's causing you suffering. So I can't write a better book than Joseph Wynn did with that book. That's why I just say go read that.
yeah,
Does that make sense? There's
yeah,
no see, if I was to say, because I'm gonna give you an example. If I was to say, well, I don't want people to go read Joseph Wynn's book because then they may not want to come talk to me. That's ego. You see that?
yeah.
That's ego. Trying to
Mm.
protect an image.
I think what's funny, right, is because Joseph Wynn speaks about that in his book. I started like questioning those things in my life, right? Whereas like obviously I played football, soccer for you since I was 3 years old, right? So I've always known myself as a football player. And then when I started to question that kind of identity of without football, who am I? That's where I found that like that ego lived. It was like I felt like without football, I am not me or I'm not whole or I don't know who I am or like I can't just go outside and do something. Like I have to think, oh man, let me practice for football, or let me go to the gym or let me do this so that I'm keeping up that image of a football player or I'm feeling like I'm a football player, if that makes sense. And when I started to question that, I'm left in this weird space of it just feels like a bit like I'm floating.
Yep.
Like you said, like I'm just kind of you're not fighting the current, you're just kind of like floating. And over the last couple days, especially, I've like I said, like my old self, I could feel it pushing through. And I've always been a super creative guy, like whether it's music, writing poems, writing stories, acting, modeling. I've done it like football, whatever type of art you feel like. I'm just super creative. But I just stopped all of that years ago. And over the last couple of days, especially, I can just feel it all like pouring back through me. And I'm just having these like urges to go and book studio time and just go and make music or go outside and go on a walk or or meditate. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, this is not me. But then I'm then questioning it again and saying, why is this not me? And that's where I'm at right now. I'm like, why?
Lean into that. No, listen, here's what's happening. Because what happened while you were here in Arizona was the ego got exposed, right?
Mm-hmm.
The false identity got exposed.
For sure.
Then when you went and talked to your dad, it completely fucking fell apart because the entire self-image that you built was based on your dad being the villain of your movie. Does that make sense?
For sure. Definitely.
So every every person is the star of their own movie, but that starts in childhood. Okay? In childhood is when the plot of your movie gets decided based on the relationships that you have and how people are treating you. Because as a kid, you know nothing. You know nothing about you. You know nothing about the world. So the only thing you have to go on is based on how you perceive people treating you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mom and dad are not even real people to you at that age. They are characters in your movie. And you have a certain script that they're supposed to read from. And when they don't read from that script, you as a human being have to decide why. Because as human beings, we don't like open loops. We don't like to not know. This is why advertising and clickbait marketing and all that gets you so well. Because it knows if it opens a loop in your mind, you have to close it. That's the need for certainty. So that need for certainty actually works against you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
But that also starts as a kid. So as a kid, if I'm not being treated the way I feel like I should be treated, then I'm asking that question, and I'm also, with a little kid mind, going to close that loop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so once I close that loop, then I've decided the plot of my movie. This is who I am. This is why in my book, I write that self-image, what you think other people think about you, that's your self-image, is based on beliefs, right? Consistent thoughts that you have that have hardwired, based on decisions that you made as a kid from
Yeah.
misinterpreted childhood experiences. Your self-image is the plot of your movie, and you cannot outperform your self-image. So if your self-image is I don't deserve to be loved, based on what I experienced as a kid and how people treated me, then I can't outlive that. That means I have to manipulate everything that happens in my life to fit that narrative. So you
Yeah.
could treat me so fucking good, but I'm going to deny your love because it creates cognitive dissonance in my mind and my movie won't make sense. The scenes have to line up. So you have to leave me. And if you're too good to me, I'm going to fuck it up and ruin it so that my movie can make sense.
Yeah.
Does that does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. For sure. 1,000%.
So what happened was when you had that conversation with your dad, because I remember what you told me about the issues between you and your dad, and I challenged every last one of them.
Yep. Fuck my head up.
Fucked your head up. And now you go have the conversation with your dad, and this self-image that you built, this false idea of yourself, completely fell apart because it no longer had legs to stand on.
Yeah. And I felt it. I literally felt it full. Like it was not like a oh like I it was like a physical feeling.
Yeah.
And I even remember the next morning after the conversation, I woke up and I called my mum maybe like 20 minutes after I woke up. And I was like in tears, like crying. Like literally I was crying my eyes out. But purely not because of the conversation I had, but because I woke up and felt nothing. Right?
Yes.
I was so light. I was so like empty sounds wrong, but that's how I would explain it in terms of there was nothing running through my mind. There was no like this feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Like that
Yep. You
stuff
weren't.
that I just felt like, and for like, it was weird because I woke up and for about 20 minutes I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, what is this feeling? And then I just ended up calling mum and talking to her. And as I was talking, I could just start feeling this like ball in the back of my throat. And I just started going because I was like, why do I feel, not why, but it's so amazing that I feel so light and like, where have I, like, how have I not been feeling this all the time? Right? So if I'm feeling like this now, what did I feel like last night and the last 10 years or whatever, however long it was? And that's what like really messed my head up for a while, where I was like, so if I've got this self-image or I've got this movie playing about myself that I'm not lovable, no one cares about me, I have to prove my worth, whatever it is I was telling myself, then where in my life did I show up like that? You know, where were people just, there was genuinely great opportunities or great things for me there, but I showed up as I have to prove my worth. So then people thought I was arrogant. And then I showed up as I'm not lovable. So people thought, and I was just like, what the fuck have I been doing? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what, yeah, that really did mess me up for a minute. And then I got over that kind of initial feeling of like being upset of how much I've missed, because again, that's kind of like ego, right? Like preserve yourself. And I was like, I went into the gratitude that I've still got my whole life to live and I don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's giving me kind of respite to that feeling of like, I've actually got my entire adulthood, right? I enter adulthood in the next 5 weeks. I turn 18. I've
Yeah.
got my entire adulthood to not have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's, and I'm just like, let's
Free.
fucking go.
Free at 17. Free
Exactly.
at 17. Free at
Exactly.
17.
Yeah, man.
And this is why I love doing this work with the young people, because you're still in that you're still in that identity development phase.
Mm,
So by helping you see the bullshit now, you avoid 40 years of bullshit later that we then have to unravel,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
This is like everything right here.
Yeah.
You
Honestly,
are
it's
free at 17 to be, do, and have whatever you please, and you don't need anybody's permission or forgiveness. Now, what is that go into music and the artist? I want to explain that.
okay.
That is pure desire feeling your system. That is life itself now wanting to now having a clean vessel to express itself through. So let's go back to that analogy that I gave about the video game. You are the character that then goes, okay, so you're not trying to get rid of me. You want to play this game through me. Yes.
but I need you to surrender the vessel.
Yeah.
Everything you want to experience, I want for you. But I need you to surrender the vessel because I can't do what there is to do through you if you have a competing agenda just to fucking feel enough.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a when the ego is in the front seat, it has a competing agenda. So creative source, pure source cannot move freely. And here's the thing. Whatever creative source wants to do, it's already done. Meaning there's nothing for you to do but to let it unfold.
Okay.
When you get a desire for something, when it's pure,
Yeah.
the roadmap is already laid out. So that pure desire, when you release the ego, right? When it goes back in the back seat. See, when Jesus said, Satan, get back behind me, that was a metaphor for the ego getting in its proper position. The ego's not supposed to die because it's here to serve as that sense of individuality so you could move separate than every other creative source having an experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So get back behind me is the ego getting in its proper place. You just serve as the vessel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then source moves freely through now this empty vessel. So when you get that pure desire, that's like an Amazon notification telling you what's on the way.
Okay.
Well, then what am I supposed to do? Nothing until you all of a sudden start to feel your motor run. You're like, I need to go to the studio. And that's it. That's all you get is the next instruction.
Yeah.
And you know when it's a pure instruction because that's the path just unfolding. That's what it means that you just go with the river. Because if your life itself, Matthew, then why wouldn't you trust life to take care of itself?
Hmm? Your life itself. Then why wouldn't you trust life to take? Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
This is how you fully surrender to the flow of life. You are life itself. So why wouldn't you trust life to take care of itself? See, when you realize, when you think that life is something you need to survive. Now think about that. Let's talk about creation for a second.
Okay.
If I create, I was talking to a client yesterday. I said, your identity is you're a survivor. He goes, yeah. I said, this is why you will never experience peace or only moments of it. He says, what do
Mm.
you mean? I said, because this situation that you're going through right now, when it passes, you'll have a brief moment of reprieve, and then something else is going to come and going to stress you the fuck out, and that you have to fight through because you have identified yourself as a survivor. So in order for your movie to make sense, people have to keep trying to fuck you over. People have to keep trying to take things from you. You constantly have to be in a space to fight for your life because you've identified as a survivor. That's creation. So you're creating all of this and playing victim to your own creations.
Yeah.
So when you feel like you have to survive life, the universe goes, your wish is my command. Here's everything to put into in your life for you to feel like you need to survive. But then when you say, I trust the flow of life, I surrender to the flow of life, it's easy because I am life and I trust life to take care of itself. That's the character in the game surrendering to the vessel and going, I didn't know shit could be this easy. Yeah. Because life is not going to obstruct itself. Then what's up
Yeah.
with all the trials and tribulations? Why do we got to go through all the trials and tribulations? To break down the ego, to get it to go into the back seat. All the trials and tribulations is where your ego gets in the way. Life mirroring to you, hey, this is where you're in the way. And until you get out of the way, life will continue to be unnecessarily hard. That doesn't mean situations are going to pop up, but the difference is you won't resist them.
Yeah.
It's only a trial and tribulation when you resist.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, for sure. Because it goes back to what you were saying about the manipulating thing, right? If a situation pops up and you manipulate it to fit your movie, then it becomes a trial or a tribulation, right? But if that ego's not there to manipulate it, then it's just another situation. It's just
It
something that
just
happens.
is. See, creator, source, God, whatever you want to call it, creates what is. And then we, with our movies, manipulating everything, take what is and turn it into something else to fit our narrative. So really, you're just wearing virtual goggles wherever you go, manipulating everything. But the truth is, everything just is. Everything is neutral. Nothing inherently means anything until you give it meaning. And it's your meaning that creates the trials and tribulations. I'll give you a case in point. There is a old, I don't know, it's an old Asian proverb. There was a old man in a village, and his
Yeah.
horses ran away. And all the people were like, "Oh man, that's really bad luck." And the old man goes, "We'll see." And then the horses return. And all the people go, "Wow, what incredible fortune, what incredible luck." And the old man goes, "We'll see." And then his son breaks his leg taming the horse. And everybody goes, "How unfortunate, what terrible luck." And the old man goes, "We'll see." And then the army came and started recruiting all the young men, but the farmer's son couldn't get recruited because of his broken leg. And everybody goes, "Oh, what fortunate luck. You don't lose your son to the war." And he goes, "We'll see."
Mm.
That's going with the flow of life.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not saying that you'll never experience, hardship. And
Yeah.
I'm only saying hardship to give you something that a reference. But
Hmm.
what only makes it hard is the resistance to it. If it's happening, that's exactly what's supposed to be happening, or wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And so it's the fighting it that makes you suffer. But when you go with the flow of life and you trust that life takes care of itself, then if your house gets taken away or the car gets taken away or somebody steals your business, whatever it is, the idea that, oh, this is somehow supposed to be working for something that I don't even know yet. This is setting up the next season. This is setting up the next thing. That's the whole purpose of that proverb, not to judge circumstances prematurely, but to just let it ride.
Mm.
So when you feel that I want to create, I want to, yes, that is the flow that was blocked, that kid like energy that was blocked because of the character you created to survive the environment you grew up in. I posted something a couple months ago about, you get to the point where you need a bodyguard as a kid because you're just free flowing and you're moving, right? You're just creating and you're enjoying life. And then
Mm.
you feel something you don't want to feel. And all of a sudden, this character pops up and goes, "Hey, hey, that wasn't good, was it?" It's like, "No, I can protect you from that." "Really?" "Yes, I'll protect you from that." And so now you have this little bodyguard.
Mm.
And this little bodyguard is supposed to protect you from that feeling that you just felt. And every time you feel something you don't want to feel, that little bodyguard then steps in and says, I got that too, don't worry. And then eventually that bodyguard just says, you know what? Let me just take over. Let me
Mhm.
just completely insulate you. You don't need to make decisions anymore. Let me do it. And so now that little free-flowing kid that just want to love and create and be is now surrounded by a team of bodyguards called the ego that don't let it do shit. And so you feel trapped.
Yeah.
And now that creative flow can't get through like it does. It's dormant. So all you did when you had that conversation with your dad was tell all the bodyguards they're fired. It was all a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And that creative flow has now returned.
Yeah.
That's all that's happened. You're remembering who you really are. Because who you really are is not someone that needs defending. Who you really are is not someone that needs protecting. Who you really are is not someone that needs to get over on everybody, that needs to survive, that needs to. No. You are infinite intelligence having a conscious experience of itself. Period. You are life itself,
Mm.
just having an experience of itself. And the purpose of the forgetting who you were was to remember. Because life can't really, creative source can't really know what it's capable of unless it forgets its creative source in the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. Imagine Matt Damon. I don't know why I chose Matt Damon, but just
Okay.
imagine Matt Damon
Yeah.
gets a role to play a homeless guy in a movie.
Hmm.
And so he decides he's going to go live on the streets for 6 months.
Okay.
Now, it will be hard to live on Skid Row. Let's say it was Skid Row. It will be hard for Matt Damon to live on Skid Row for 6 months. He'd probably get robbed. He can all kind of things can happen.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't suffer as much, if at all. He might just let shit go. Because he knows deep down he's got a $30 million mansion to go back to, and this shit is temporary.
Yeah.
So he may not even suffer at all. So he wouldn't really get an authentic experience of what it's like to be homeless because he remembers too much about where he came from. Now imagine same scenario, but before he goes to bed that night, they come in and shoot him up with an amnesia serum.
Mm.
And then he wakes up on Skid Row and don't remember who he is or where he's from. Now
Yeah.
when he gets robbed, now when he gets beat up, now when the cops come and tear the whole place down, now when people start stealing his stuff, he's going to have an entirely different emotional experience because he thinks this is his life.
Yeah.
Does
Yep.
that make sense?
Yep.
He doesn't remember who he is. So the suffering is going to feel way more visceral.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So the purpose of being in this experience called life is to forget and then remember. And everything in between is that just that visceral experience of life because Most people want to get rid of their emotions, but emotions is what makes life life.
Mm.
If you didn't have emotions, you'd be AI,
Mm.
pure intelligence.
Yeah.
But emotions are like surround sound for experience.
Yeah.
It's like watching a movie in Dolby Cinema and then watching it on a little portable TV. Same movie, two different experiences
Mm.
because you're not feeling it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the goal is to feel everything but hold on to nothing.
Ooh, I like that. Feel everything but hold on to nothing.
That's how you get to enjoy the roller coaster of life. You want to be sad? I mean, something sad happens, feel the sadness and then let it go.
Mm.
Feel the joy and then let it go. Something happens and you feel the hurt and let it go. Because that's the experience.
Mm.
But then, if as the ego, you feel the hurt and goes, they did this to me. And then you take it personal. And then it's no longer an experience of life. Now you just suffer. Because now you think the world is out to get you and hurt you and everything else. Do you get the difference?
Yeah.
Feel everything, hold on to nothing.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
void that you're in, don't try to get out of it.
Okay.
Stay in the uncertainty.
Okay.
Stop trying to close loops. Because the minute you close a loop, you put up a wall in your mind. That's all beliefs are.
Yeah.
Beliefs are walls in your mind that keep you from infinite possibility. People ask me, what do I believe? I believe nothing. I only experience what is. I have no
Mm.
opinions about what is. It just is. That's seeing objective reality, just what is. The moment you put your spin on, well, is it right? Is it wrong? Is it this? Is it that? That's a judgment. That's your opinion. You're now coloring reality to fit your narrative.
Mm.
Because what you think was right and wrong and all this is solely based on your belief system. And the truth is, you can only believe what you don't know. That's why it's a feeling that something is true. Something you experienced over and over and over again, but that doesn't make it objective truth. Just because you keep experiencing it over and over and over and over and over again. Your mind is designed to run in circles in the first place. Same pathways, same firing, same wiring. You're designed to run in circles. So the moment basically you start building a belief system, you build a circular maze in your mind that you now can't get out of. This is why when people say, well, wow, that person really thinks outside the box. They're acknowledging that they live in a box, but don't realize they're acknowledging that they live in a box.
Oh shit. Yeah.
They don't have free minds. A free
Yeah.
mind just sees what is.
Mm.
It doesn't try to put anything on it. So you come into this world as a child and you have this infinite mind. Infinite. That's why they can think of anything. Because there's just no limit. And then we give that child a belief system. And those beliefs, because then once you have a belief, what you're saying is, this is what this is. So then there's a whole lot of stuff that you're saying that it's not, or that it can't be. That's why I'm saying it creates walls in your mind. So you create this prison called a belief system that you can't hear, smell, see, taste, or touch. So you're locked in a prison and don't even know it.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing that because now you're in this void. Well, I don't know what to believe. I don't know. Don't try to get out of it. Stay in the gray. Stay in the uncertainty. Get used to the floating, because that's life. Now life can take you wherever it wants to go.
Okay.
And it's never going to take you somewhere that isn't for its own highest good. That doesn't mean it will all be pleasant,
Yeah.
because there's a bigger picture at play. And that requires you to give up control. Because you're not controlling anything anyway. You're only resisting what's already happening.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that we don't create. We do create. But the question is, where's the creation coming from? Is it coming from this sense of inadequacy to try to prove that I'm enough? Or is it coming from this pure, music? So you're still a creator, but that now you're letting pure inspiration, pure desire flow through. And it will come out so easily and so effortlessly in ways that you consciously cannot even. Where did that word come from? Where did that verse come from? Where did that song come from? Divine inspiration, they call it. Some people have to smoke weed to get out of the way and allow for divine inspiration to come. Some people have to do mushrooms to get out of it. But all they're doing is removing the ego out of the way. They stop thinking. That doesn't mean you don't have thoughts.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what the book spoke about.
Thoughts happen. They're a one-off event. They come and they go. But
Yeah.
thinking is having a conversation with that thought.
Exactly. Yeah.
So stop having conversations with your thoughts and let them pass. And I'm saying it because that was the question you asked me. How do I stop thinking? Stop having conversations with your thoughts. Be entertained by the thought. Don't entertain it. Everything you need to know will come to you. So you can stop seeking. If you surrender to the flow of life, everything that you need to know will either come out of you or come to you. You don't need to figure out what choices to make. The right choice will clearly present itself. You'll just know. You won't know how you know. You just know. This is the choice. This is the right direction. And don't try to figure out what the whole arc of the path is. You only need to know the next piece. But that it's easier to do that when you trust life to take care of itself. I became very peaceful when it comes to take care of my family when I realized I, Elijah, this vessel, the character, is not the one doing the providing. Life is providing for this family through this vessel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I stopped trying to figure out how to make money. And it just shows up. Exactly what we need, right on time, every time.
Yeah. Mm.
And all that time that I was scheming and all this other stuff, guess what I get to do with that time?
Well,
Spend it with my kids. Because they don't care about none of that other shit. They just want me present. Because I play a character in their movie, and I know I play a character in their movie. So I have to be conscious enough to love them the way they want to be loved. Or they're going to create stories about why I didn't. But I can only love them the way they want to be loved if I'm present and paying attention. Because life only happens in the present. Is this helping at all?
yeah, for sure. I think we're covering a lot of stuff that I kind of knew, but we're just seeing it more plainly, if that makes sense.
Because it's simple.
Yeah,
Truth is simple. If it's super complicated, it's not truth. Truth is simple, straight to the point. So everything I'm sharing with you is how you can be fully human and fully divine at the same time. Does that make sense?
yeah,
They say Jesus was fully human and fully divine, but don't really understand what that means. When he says, I and my Father are one, he's talking about the sense of separateness, the character named Yeshua, right? The character, and then infinite source are the one and the same thing. Does that make sense?
yeah.
That's what that means. And it's true for everybody. It's just he remembered, they forgot.
Mm.
You are life itself, having a conscious experience of itself. You and the Father, you and the Creator, you, the sense of individuality and source are this one and the same. Science says that we're nothing but atoms and electrons, atoms, protons and neutrons, atoms and electrons. Everything is made out of atoms and protons and electrons. But they're also acknowledging that there's this stuff called dark matter, but they can't see. That is the energy source behind the protons and electrons, the energy source behind everything. Science can't find it. Cool. But if everything is that, and you're the only creature on this planet that has a conscious awareness of itself. See, a dog doesn't know it's on the planet. Dog's just there. It doesn't know that it's on the planet that rotates a certain way, that then circles the sun, that's then shooting through the universe at 1,000,000,000 miles an hour inside of a galaxy that's 100 billion light years wide, or however. A dog is not aware of that. A bird is not aware of that. A dog doesn't look in the mirror and go, "Am I fat? Should I lose weight? Do you like this bow on me?" It has it has intelligence,
Mm.
but it doesn't have self-awareness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not aware of itself. So you're the only creature on the planet that we know of that is aware of itself, that
Mm.
could choose to go left or right and not just off of pure instinct. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if everything is protons and electrons fueled by this intelligence that science calls dark matter, and you're that, but also aware of itself, then wouldn't that just make you infinite intelligence, having a conscious experience of itself, looking back at itself, experiencing itself?
Yeah.
So then what is there to fight?
Nothing.
Well, then why in the world is the world the way it is? Because all of those people forgot and they're cramming for positioning. They all have amnesia. All the people you see fighting against each other and wars and famine and those they're just people with amnesia. They don't remember who they are. So they feel like they have to fight for their survival.
Yeah.
So I treat all of you like amnesia patients. But you, sir, are waking up.
Definitely am. Thanks to you,
Right
man.
right now, it's like you're sitting in the hospital having woke up from out of an amnesia, and you're like, huh. And now you're just kind of just looking around the hospital room, saying, I got a desire to leave the hospital and just go do stuff. Good.
Yeah.
You may leave the hospital and just go be and enjoy life.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the fact that you get to do it from 17 years old is such a blessing.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. You call me back anytime. I want regular updates.
Okay.
I'm a fan. I want to watch this movie as it plays out.
All right. Cool.
Well, anything else?
No, I mean that's it. I think Mum's sat at a restaurant waiting for me. So
Okay.
she's probably not gonna be happy, but to be honest, it was more than worth it.
Well, tell her,
So
give her my love.
she said to
And
give you her love, give you her love as well. So yeah.
absolutely. All right. And next time y'all come in, we'll go to prison together because they'd love to hear this story.
All right, cool. Good
All
day.
right, brother. Be well.
That's easy, man. Take
Bless.
care.